Now, ASEAN foreign ministers have been reminded that unity is at stake as the bloc struggles to stay relevant in regional matters. The Myanmar crisis remains unresolved. A deal to prevent conflict in the South China Sea, now that one has stalled for years. Top diplomats in Indonesia for a week of talks were urged by the ASEAN chair to work towards safeguarding the bloc's centrality as the primary platform for engagement in the Indo-Pacific.
We must prove that united we can address existing challenges, while also ready to anticipate and respond to future challenges. This is why long-term ASEAN vision is crucial. Second, ASEAN can only matter if it remains at the driver's seat in navigating regional dynamics.
Ms. Masudi emphasized that ASEAN will never be a proxy in competition between world powers. The bloc is set to hold the East Asia Summit and the ASEAN Regional Forum later this week, with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov both slated to attend. Everyone, the CNA's Saiful Bar Ismail joins us live from Jakarta. Saiful, a lot of emphasis on ASEAN unity and centrality. Is there a sense that there is a lack of progress on issues like Myanmar, putting these tenets at risk?
Yes, definitely. There is a lack of progress, and ASEAN's position on the Myanmar political crisis has not changed. The group has maintained that Myanmar's ruling generals will continue to be banned from ASEAN meetings until they make progress on the 5-point consensus to address the crisis triggered by the military coup. ASEAN would instead invite non-political representatives to attend. Now, ASEAN's unity has been a topic which has been consistently discussed. It was a central issue when the foreign ministers met in Jakarta in April this year and during the ASEAN Leaders Summit in Labuan Bajo in Indonesia in May. Now, ASEAN has been trying very hard to stress the importance and significance of its unity, which really raises the question, why does it need to do so? Is it really because the group is not so united, and that is why they need to continuously talk about it? Now, ASEAN's unity came into question again recently when Thailand's caretaker government held a meeting last month with Myanmar's foreign minister appointed by the military regime. Now, Thailand wants to re-engage the Myanmar military leaders, but critics said this move is seen as legitimizing the military regime, and Thailand is going beyond its authority and undermining Indonesia's effort as ASEAN chair. Observers said Thailand's attempt to re-engage Myanmar's military leaders is a sign of cracks in ASEAN's unity. Those fractures were laid bare in a draft joint communique seen by AFP, where a section on Myanmar was left blank. And that is why ASEAN foreign ministers gathering in Jakarta this week are stressing why it's so important for ASEAN to stay united in order to resolve problems in its own backyard.
Saiful, ASEAN also using this first day of this to repeat calls for a nuclear-free zone. Now, it's warning it's just one miscalculation away from apocalypse. What's fueling this urgency behind this demand?
Well, discussions with nuclear-armed countries are ongoing after attempts to have them sign the Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapons Free Zone Treaty since 2012 have not made progress. The treaty specifically targets China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom and the United States. Now, the signatories of the treaty are obliged to ensure peaceful use of nuclear energy and not to develop or acquire nuclear weapons, test nuclear explosive devices or dump radioactive waste within the zone. Now, the question of using nuclear power and all that it brings can be summed up by the fact that North Korea is always being criticized for the development of its nuclear arms program. More recently, China and others are concerned by Japan's plan to discharge nuclear waste, contaminated water into the ocean, and Indonesia was alarmed about Australia procuring nuclear-powered submarines. Observers said the nuclear-armed countries have problems signing the treaty because the zone covers a wide geographical area, and by signing the treaty, it would limit their movements of, for example, their military assets. Now, experts also said that China is the only nuclear-armed country which has expressed its readiness to sign the treaty because the expansive geographical coverage of the treaty would limit the deployment of foreign powers' nuclear assets in China's vicinity.
The maintenance of peace and stability in the region is our priority. It is our foundation to turn the region into the epicentrum of growth. Therefore, we must keep Southeast Asia as a region free of nuclear weapons.
Now, Indonesia said it's ready to bridge all the differences that may emerge in the meetings concerning the Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapons Free Zone Treaty, and Jakarta seeks the support of ASEAN member states as well as its dialogue partners.
Our thanks to that CNA's Saiful Bara Ismail reporting live to us there from Jakarta. Well, let's take a close look at what the Southeast Asian Nuclear Weapon-Free Zone Treaty is all about. The treaty, also known as the Bangkok Treaty, was signed by 10 ASEAN member states in December 1995. It entered into force in March 1997 and shows the grouping's commitment to ensure that Southeast Asia remains free of nuclear and other weapons of mass destruction. Well, under this treaty, member states cannot develop, manufacture, acquire, or test nuclear weapons. They're also not allowed to dump radioactive material or waste into the sea, into the air, or on land. However, nuclear material or facilities can be used for peaceful purposes. And to ensure this, they will have to undergo safety assessments and meet IAEA guidelines and standards. And there's also a protocol aimed at the 5 countries recognized by the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It calls on them to respect and not violate the Southeast Asian Nuclear-Free Zone, or none has signed, citing objections to the inclusion of areas such as exclusive economic zones. However, China's foreign minister did express interest on the part of Beijing to sign the protocol in a recent meeting with the ASEAN Secretary General. All this comes as Australia, the UK and the US announced in March steps to acquire nuclear submarines for Australia.